everybody, how's it going? Before I go any further, I'm gonna get into Boruto stuff, but I have to say, I know about the Game of Thrones episode leak. I know about it, okay? I will be making a video talking about the leaks and the spoilers either tomorrow or Friday, okay? Because this is just getting out of control. It's crazy, HBO. It's like, what kind of clowns do you have working there? I mean, I'm not gonna spoil you in the video, you know, without due warning or anything. I'll be talking about the episode on Sunday normally, but there's just a lot of stuff that I really need to get off my chest when it comes to this whole thing. But for now, let's talk about Boruto / Naruto. So, currently in the anime, we have entered the Naruto Gaiden arc. By the way, thank you for understanding why I didn't review the last episode that came out last week. It was because we've already seen it. I mean, they added some stuff here and there, but for the most part, you can read the entire Naruto Gaiden arc in manga form. It's 10 chapters and it's written and illustrated by creator Masashi Kishimoto. So that's where we are right now. It was surprising because I watched the episode, and this episode, I went back and checked the manga. It actually covered 3 chapters of Gaiden, okay? Remember, there's a total of 10 chapters. The one that started last week, the previous episode, was 1 chapter. Then this one covered 3, so that leaves us with 4, which means there's only 6 chapters of Gaiden left. So if they keep the same pacing of 3 chapters per episode, that means that there's literally only 2 episodes left. But I checked the schedule, and as it turns out, the Naruto Gaiden arc, the Sarada arc, is going to end in September. So they're going to be adding some stuff just to stretch it out a little bit longer. They're just stretching it out one episode, I think, because the episode that airs on September 6th is called The Shape of Their Connections. And judging from the summary, I'm assuming that's the ending of Gaiden. So, and then after that, we don't know if we're going to get the Mitsuki backstory animated, but we do know for sure, thanks to this interview that I'm about to talk to you about. By the way, shout out to Jao Ribeiro on Facebook, and also the Organic Dinosaur on Reddit for taking his time to translate this interview that was in Japanese. This was an interview that was part of a book that served to chronicle, I guess, the history of the animation of the Naruto series, okay? And one of the interviews is with the director, currently the director of Boruto, the TV series. He was also the director of Boruto the movie. He worked on some episodes of Shippuden, okay? And he was also the key animator for Naruto the Last, okay? And his name is Yamashita. And so he's now directing the Boruto TV series. He, however, was not in charge. He was not the director of Naruto Shippuden, and I have to say, I really have to give Yamashita credit, because despite, you know, my issues, and I know some of you guys also have issues with the story and some of the characters, the animation for Boruto, the TV series, has been really on point, and it has been really consistent since the start of the anime. I don't think anybody's debating that. In fact, I think we kind of take it for granted how amazing the animation looks, because a lot of the issues that we've had with Shippuden in the past was that the animation was very inconsistent, and now it's like you can really get the same sort of standard of quality for each of these episodes of Boruto in regards to animation. Now, there's a reason for why the quality of Boruto, the TV series, has been so consistent since it started when comparing it to Naruto Shippuden. It's because Yamashita himself, the director, is an animator. He started off as an animator and then worked his way up, or he actually was given the job of directing Boruto the movie and then Boruto the TV series, but he started, his true passion, and you can tell just from reading the interview, is in animation and in things just looking visually appealing. And it shows. It absolutely shows. In fact, he even says that his favorite scene in Boruto the movie is that opening scene of Sasuke clashing with Kinshiki in Kaguya's Ice Palace. And there was a lot more stuff from that fight that we just didn't get to see because they needed to cut it for time reasons. Now, usually when it comes to animated movies, they try and make it so that they don't go over 90 minutes. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of scenes that were cut from that movie for time reasons. He even says, like, there was an ending scene with Boruto and Sarada that we didn't get to use. There was even, he had a scene planned for after Boruto uses the mini scrolls that look like pills in the exam. He actually had a scene of him getting punished, a scene where he actually faces the consequences of cheating in the fight, you know. But that was cut for time reasons, and he says, like, I wish we could have left that in so that, you know, the audience could understand that he really did, you know, he didn't get off free, you know, he didn't get off clean. Nevertheless, the main impression that I got from reading the interview was that the thing that really disappointed Yamashita was the fact that they ended up cutting a lot of background and a lot of depth surrounding the characters of Kinshiki and Momoshiki. Because I guess he really wanted them to be three-dimensional villains with some depth to them as characters. Which brings me to some news that you can pretty much infer out of what he said here. He states, "So because I didn't have that time with them in the movie, I really want the Boruto TV series to give them their time, to explore these things that were left unexplored. Therefore, I think that pretty much confirms the fact that the anime will end up recapping Boruto the movie at some point. And so you can expect more depth from these characters, as well as an extended fight of Sasuke versus Kinshiki in the Ice Palace, and more scenes from the Boruto Chunin exams as well. And in a way, he's already begun setting up the exploration for Kinshiki and Momoshiki's characters, because remember that scene where Sasuke is investigating the dimension of Kaguya? They're in that episode, and they kind of say things that are kind of mysterious. Even Toneri refers to them as the gods, so it kind of like gets the audience intrigued in their characters. So yeah, pretty much Boruto movie recap confirmed for the anime. I don't see how you can have an exploration of Kinshiki and Momoshiki as characters if you don't have the Boruto movie storyline. I just don't. Plus, there's another thing that kind of confirms that they're going to be adapting the movie onto the anime or whatever, and that's the fact that Yamashita is asked about Ikemoto. Ikemoto, if you saw my previous video, I talk about him. He's the person in charge of illustrating the Boruto manga that comes out on a monthly basis. And this is what Yamashita has to say about Ikemoto. Now here's the thing with these interviews, all right, is that sometimes, people try to be as genuine and as honest as possible, while at the same time being cordial and tolerant and nice. But there's a bit of a thing in this interview that really caught my attention. I actually went back and checked something because I didn't really understand what he was saying, but now it makes total sense. So Ikemoto, again, is the person responsible for drawing the Boruto manga. And this is what Yamashita, the director of the Boruto anime, has to say about Ikemoto. He says, "I'm fond of Ikemoto sensei's sketches. I especially like the real touch of his characters and the upper lips." Okay, and then he goes on to say, in terms of panel layout, so how Ikemoto draws his panels, his oblong, which means rectangular landscape layout for frames, is really cool. But for the anime, it's difficult to depict the 2-page spreads. It'll be a trial and error for me to depict Ikemoto sensei's ninja action in the anime. In other words, he's not used to Ikemoto's style of sketching, of drawing out these panels. And then in the interview, this is where the translation kind of gets a little bit iffy, because he goes on to say, in comparison to the depiction of Kishimoto sensei's manga, it is more detailed and realistic. So I'm confused. Is he saying that Kishimoto's style is more detailed and realistic, or that Ikemoto's style is more detailed and realistic? That's kind of a weird thing. I'm guessing he's saying that Kishimoto's style is more realistic than Ikemoto's, because he says when Kishimoto draws or drew kunais flying, he draws 3 panels, 3 panels to depict that movement plus sound, all right? And so I went back to sort of skim through some of the Boruto manga to sort of make sure that I understood what he meant, because as far as I saw, Boruto the manga doesn't use a whole lot of 2-page spreads, so I'm not really sure what he meant. However, I did find something striking. If you can, go and read the latest Boruto chapter, right? Because that's literally like an action sequence chapter. Count the panels on some of those pages, because I counted some of those panels, and literally sometimes you only get 3 panels per page, all right? 3 panels per page, and that's it. Now look at Kishimoto's work, all right? Now granted, he has done pages where there's only 3 panels, but I think the detail, and I mean, look at this, like each page literally has 6 panels on it, right? 6 and 6, and one of those pages is literally just Deidara undoing a stitch. So that's a lot of detail, a lot of work to depict that one action. Also, Kishimoto had to turn in these chapters on a weekly basis. So it just it's, again, once again, my appreciation for Kishimoto's work just grows. Which goes back to Ikemoto's point that I talked about in the previous video about him being fearful about, he did not want to do a Naruto sequel because he was fearful of people holding him to such a high standard, which is Kishimoto's standard. Now, regarding Yamashita, I'm just going to tell you how he ended up becoming the director of Boruto the anime. So he was working on Naruto Shippuden as an animator, and he was in charge of 2 episodes that blew everybody's mind. Some of the best episodes to come out of that show, especially to come out of the Shinobi War by the end. The first episode is the episode where Madara steps out of the coffin and starts wrecking people like crazy. It's like globally praised, fans loved it, super dynamic, a lot of action, just Madara kicking ass all over the place. Great episode. And the second episode that he was in charge of was the Kakashi versus Obito fight, which I remember praising that episode. It was so good. I mean, it looked very different animation-wise. Actually, both of these episodes look very different animation-wise to what came before and after them. But, it's that type of quality. He knows how to do these action sequences very well. I mean, I don't even like Obito that much, and I loved that episode. That's how good it was. So, again, people praised it. Those 2 episodes were great, and that's how he got the promotion.
I also think he's really good at music placement. I remember that fight being very heavy. Not just a good fight, but a very heavy emotional moment for Kakashi. And the music throughout that thing just kind of flows very naturally. And he did it again in this episode. I really enjoyed the scene where Sarada awakens her Sharingan for the first time, because it is another emotional moment, because she's literally about to meet Sasuke for the first time. She doesn't really remember him before that. So that was really cool. Also, by the way, was I the only one who thought it was kind of messed up that Sarada tells Boruto, I'll take this lunch to Naruto, because these lunches aren't just about the food, it's about the people who make them for you. You have to remember the person who makes them for you. And then she gives him the lunch, and instead of thinking about Hinata, he thinks of Team 7. And speaking of Hinata, shout out to Parallels, because Naruto used to think that Hinata was weird at first, and now Boruto thinks that Sarada's weird. Going back to the interview, Yamashita kind of closes it with a final statement saying that the events of the anime occur before the events of the movie. The stories are from Boruto before he became a Genin and is still in the academy. And he says, I think that'll be taking the main portion, which is kind of like, oh man, I thought we were done with this with the first arc. I mean, once they cover Boruto the movie, I'm pretty sure, we can't just stay in, the academy days. We got to move forward. I mean, he definitely doesn't look like he's in the academy when he's fighting Kawaki, that's for sure. And then the interviewer asks, was there a scene in Shippuden that you absolutely wanted to work on? And Yamashita says, I personally wanted to work on the Guy versus Madara fight. But at the time, it conflicted with working on the movie. As expected, it was impossible to do both at once. But I really wanted to work on that. That was unfortunate for me. That was a missed opportunity, misallocation of resources from the studio. I mean, can you imagine a Guy versus Madara fight directed by the same guy that did Obito versus Kakashi, that did Madara coming out of the coffin, wrecking these fodder shinobis? I thought the final product that we got, the Guy versus Madara fight, was great. I just think that if this guy had been involved, it would have been amazing.
If you want to take something away from this video, not just this video, but the previous one that I did as well, is that I think these people, like director Yamashita and Ikimoto, they're both involved in producing some type of Boruto-related content. And I can tell that they really appreciate the series. They respect it, all right? They respect Kishimoto. They're also pretty hardworking, responsible people. However, I do get the sense, because of the information that is available to us, I think we could pretty much infer, we can pretty much understand that both of these guys, their passion may be in a different place. For example, Yamashita, he's an animator. He's an animator by heart. He wants to be in charge of animating stuff. And being the director, consequently, ends up giving you more responsibilities than just supervising and doing your animation. And Ikimoto, as stated by Kishimoto in the previous video that I did, he wanted to be able to publish his own manga, create his own characters and stories. And then he said he was okay with doing a reboot, but he got a script for a sequel. And now he's doing this. And that's not necessarily a good thing, but it's also not necessarily a bad thing, because you can genuinely find any job fulfilling. So yeah, I think these interviews were very insightful for that very reason, because it kind of makes you aware of the team, the people that are currently involved in this product known as Boruto. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what your thoughts are down below. Like the video if you did. Appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel. if you haven't already. Catch you guys later. Bye.